What is going on? Welcome to Ryan and Brian Talk Sports, presented by Pickett Sports and Boom Fantasy. As always, Ryan Props and I are gonna just kind of babble like idiots for like 45 minutes, maybe, and
What
then
we
we're
do
gonna head
best.
out, and then we're just gonna enjoy the night and see what happens. But it's always a good time. How are you, Ryan?
Doing good, man. Pretty good slate
Yeah,
of baseball. Not bad for a Monday. I
it's
do
like a
miss
weird slate of baseball. I think there's three spots I really like. I already played two of them, and there's a late game where I want to kind of see lineups because I think lineups more than ever are going to play into a factor in the strikeout markets because that's where I like
absolutely.
to be at. And they've been up and down, but I think the lineups is just something, especially if you want to, if it's a later game, you're not going to get the lineup until after things are already moving. So there's no point trying to force it early.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, I mean, I was pretty pleased when I woke up this morning and saw how many games there was for baseball, and of course, any night there's playoff basketball. I'm gonna have a good time. So
Yeah.
yeah, this is gonna be fun.
Yeah, so if you want to just dive right into the MLB stuff, I'm totally okay with that. I mean, there's games starting in like an hour and a half around
Yeah.
6:30. So I actually wanted to my first play is a game that I wanted to ask you in like a fun kind of environment to see if you can guess the pitcher based on their baseball savant page. I wanted to
Okay.
see if you could guess it based on tone stamps. Going to put it on the screen and see if you
Nice.
can guess. It's a picture on the slate, obviously, because there would be no other reason why I'm bringing it up now. But
Sure.
based on this, I could actually text it to you
Oh,
too. I don't know if you can
no,
fully
I can
see
see
it.
it. I can
You
see
can
it
see
just
it. Okay,
fine. Whew, I'm
I
on the
want to
spot
see.
here. Oh man, this is tough.
I want to see if you can guess, or if anyone can guess what pitcher is struggling this much. I mean,
It's got to be
they're
Gomber. It's got to be Austin
Yes, you
Gomber.
got it. It's yep,
First
yep.
game.
He got it right away. Yep, got Austin Gomber. I mean, you just look at it. I mean, his hard hit ball percentage actually is not as bad as I thought, but his slugging percentage allowed, his xERA, and his batting average allowed, all top four. He is letting up a lot of contact. His
Top four is
fast
not good, by the way.
Yes, yeah, okay, a top four in worst percentage. He's
Yeah,
allowing
yeah.
a lot of hit. His barrel rate isn't bad, but yeah, he's just getting hit around. I mean, he's not missing bats, only 20% whiff rate.
Yep.
His fastball velocity is down. It's He's only throwing the ball, only getting guys chasing 11 percentile, and his strikeout percentile against lefties this year is 8%, and against righties it's 16%. So he is not missing bats. He had five strikeouts his first start. And the last two starts, I mean, his last three starts, I should say, he hasn't even made it to the fifth inning.
Yeah.
Last game, he didn't even get it to three. He is getting hit around. So today I am taking a reverse player performance double at plus 140. I think it's a great price. I would play up to plus 120. I took his under 3.5 strikeouts and the Guardians money line. This is twofold. A, we all see how much he struggled the last few games. I don't think this is the lineup for him to start missing bats. There's only one guy on this Cleveland Guardians lineup that I'm worried about in terms of strikeouts, and it is Mike Zunino, who I don't know what he's doing out there. He is swinging at garden hose at times. He has a 40% strike rate against lefties, but he also walks at 20%. So that's like 2/3 of his at bats against lefties. But other than him, they have six. Wait, actually, one, two, three, five. Yeah, six. They have six guys that is 15 or lower percent this year against lefties in terms of
That's
strikeouts.
insane.
That is very low. I mean, our guy Quan in the Discord, 11%. Rosario, 14%. Ramirez, 14%. Jimenez, 10%. And Naylor is at 15. And Straw is at 14. So there really is that one guy, and it's Mike Zeno, who is hitting eighth. So they moved him back in the lineup, which is kind of the final nail in the coffin for me to pull on this is knowing that he's probably only going to see Zunino twice at most. I
Yeah.
don't like. There's no way where he can, you know, find a way to punch him out all three times. So he might even face him once. So I do think that this is just one of those ones where I'm going to ride the hot hand, which is actually the cold hand.
Yeah, I honestly have been trying to figure out a Gomber fade all day, and I couldn't quite land on anything specific. This is pretty good, and I like this. This
Yeah,
is not bad. And even to point out, Zunino, Gomber throws 40% fastballs to righties, which is his primary pitch, basically. And he throws
see,
about 91 miles an hour. and Zunino absolutely murders 91-mile-an-hour lefty
He could
fastball.
go yards. That's the thing. When I watch this, he's either going to strike out in 4 pitches or he might take him yard. But he also does walk a good amount against lefties. So, like I said, this is one where the thing that can struggle the most when you're betting like this is that there's nothing worse than the guy allowing, say, 9 runs, but then somehow finding 4 Ks. But this is a lineup where I don't think I just don't think he's going to miss bats. I mean, he's not missing bats, and this lineup is so good at putting the ball in play. And if you put the ball in play against Gomber, you're most likely going to have a good time at the plate.
Going to have a good time.
Yeah, and realistically, I did the math. I think if as long as the Guardians can put up 3 runs, this should be just a fine for them because I mean, Cal's weird. He's got a punchable face, but he gives him 6 innings every time. And as long as he can hold this team to like 2 or 3 runs, I think this is just a good play to fade Gomber in some way.
Yeah, good deal. I like this. Like I said, I've been trying to figure out my way to do it. I thought about Cleveland team total. There wasn't quite enough there for me to jump on it. But I think this is definitely a nice.
I think it's just a great price. Honestly, when I was
Plus
trying to build it up,
140.
yeah, when I was trying to build it out, I really thought it was gonna be around like plus 115, and that would have been on the edge for me. But yeah, I mean, it's also really fun to fade the Rockies on the road, just because I feel like a lot of their offense is always bolstered from their home splits. So I like to fade them on the road. So that was my first play.
Nice. All right, so that covers the 6:10 game. So that'll pretty much get started shortly after we hop off here. Shortly after that, at 6:35 is the Red Sox Orioles. I have a play in that game, so it feels like a nice segue there. So let's rock with old man Chris Sale. So I haven't checked since about Monday. Geez, I just read a comment at the same time as saying that I haven't checked since about 4 o'clock, but he was plus 100 on FanDuel for over 6.5 strikeouts. I'm going to go ahead and ride with that. He pieced together a really nice start last time out. He had 11 strikeouts. He scattered 3 hits. He pitched 6 innings and only allowed 1 run versus Minnesota. Tonight he draws the Orioles, and he has faced the Orioles once this season. It was his first start of the season. They roughed him up. He allowed 7 hits, 7 runs in 3 innings. However, in those 3 innings, he managed 6 strikeouts. So it's kind of impressed. I think now that some rust has been shaken off, we'll see at least a little bit a better version of Chris on the mound. And the Orioles offense is kind of cold right now. They're not terrible by any means, but they're not hitting the cover off the ball by any means either. They have 4 or less runs in 5 straight games. So they're not really enough here to scare me away, even though they got to him early last start. And overall versus lefties, they're fairly middle of the pack. They're pretty average. So again, not enough to scare me away here. Regardless of Chris getting hit around, which he has in a few of his starts, he still managed to strikeouts, dude. The guy is, I mean, his slider still, it still exists, and it's just as good as ever, or at least damn near it. So he's 92nd percentile in K rate, 91st percentile in whiff rate, and 3 of his 4 pitches have a whiff rate of 36.4% or better, which of course is led by a slider that has a 41.9% whiff rate. So he's still getting the swings and misses, even if he does get hit around a little bit here. I still think there's enough where he can find 7 strikeouts. So Chris Sale over 6.5 strikeouts, which I believe is plus 100 on FanDuel.
And that's also one where even if he goes 5 innings or if he struggles at all, he could still, we talked about with Gomer, nothing more frustrating being on under for a guy getting hit around, but still getting the Ks. Chris Sale's on the other side of the spectrum where he could be getting hit around and still find ways to miss bats. And, we saw it, was it his start 2 against the Tigers? Started off still rough, but then came back out firing just like a madman. So I do like
3 straight or maybe 2 straight.
It was 2 straight. He started the game. He walked 2 straight on 8 pitches.
8 pitches, yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Which I will say, if you're going to walk people, might as well be efficient about it. Just don't waste the pitches there. So yeah, I do like that. I think at plus money, he's just got to you got to do the math in terms of strikeout props, in terms of how many per inning, and you just need like 2 innings there where he gets 2, and I think that's very doable against this lineup.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the lineup, it's not like the most extremely strikeout heavy lineup. There's 4 good targets. There's some kind of more middle of the road targets where McCann sits at 20%. That's only 15 at bat, so can't read too much into that. But it's not the heaviest target lineup that I really like to target. However, three of the first five guys. Hayes will lead off, so he'll face him perhaps up to three times. He's striking out 40.7% of the time versus lefties. Santander's striking out 31.8% of the time. Urias is striking out 30.8% of the time. So that's three of the first five batters. So by the time he's faced 14 guys, he's going to have accumulated a nice amount of targets, and I like his chances. He also, there's some kind of an imaginary cutoff line of guys with K rates just high enough that I'm not too worried whether I see the lineup I want to or not. And Chris is kind of floating around that line. Like a 33.7% K rate is just so damn good that like I was still pretty pleased to have 4 targets, even though I usually do prefer 5. If he was more of like a 24% K guy, I might have been scared away, even if this was like a 5-5 line. But the K rate's just so sky high, so he can take advantage of some of these guys that strike out 16% of the time, more so than others. So it's just he's just so nasty. Even if he's a little bit more hittable now than he ever has been, his stuff is still just so nasty. And
he's fun to watch. He's a guy that I really wish had better fortune with some of his injuries in the past.
Yeah, like punching the wall was brutal.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it happens. I mean, sometimes you get really frustrated, you have to punch the wall or
I've
cut
broken my hand
up.
punching a wall before.
Really?
Yeah, I was 17 after at the time the Redskins had beaten the Eagles. I walked upstairs and I punched the wall and broke my hand.
So you're basically Chris Sale-esque in terms of did it affect your sports betting at all? Did it hurt your performance?
No, not at the time. I was still as elite as ever back then when I was 17.
Nice
gambling.
That's fair. Yeah. I like that.
I'm 6'4". I'm dangly. I'm left-handed, dude. So yeah, me and Chris we're tight, man. So we're really in tune. So I felt really good about this over 6.5.
Yeah, I think that's good. I as you were talking, I was able to get to post the Gomer play because, like I said, it's an earlier start. Usually, I can post them after the show and feel pretty confident that people can get them in. But when you have a 6:10 start time, it kind of screws you up a little bit in terms of timing.
Yeah.
So
good deal. I'm all set with Sale. If you want to go ahead and rattle off your next one.
Yeah. So this is honestly, it's kind of gross that I took this because there's only one man that I could ever do this with, but I am paying -130 for a PPD that involves 8 strikeouts.
Yeah.
And that is right up the alley of Spencer.
I already know who it is.
Spencer Strider. I mean, he's got the power of the stash. Someone in the chat also said I only punched the wall when I forget to take Killian Hayes under 12.5 points. I'm pretty sure if you took Killian Hayes under every single time this whole year, you'd probably be pretty profitable. But
I'd say so.
Yeah, I did take Spencer Strider -130. It's -135 now on DraftKings. I did post this one, I think, like noonish, so it's been out for a while in Discord.
Yeah.
So I know a lot of people already have it in there. I started using the bet slip thing with the FanDuel, so they can just click it now. So, but if you wanted to play it, DraftKings still has it -135. And this is one where I hate the idea of paying juice for player performance doubles, but the Braves have lost 4 straight games, and I texted you earlier, but I know you've been busy. But they're like WX OBA, which is like expected batting average. Like they're 3rd in the league in that stat, but they're just not. They're not hitting. Like it feels like they're getting unlucky. So I think there's a point where if you have good hitters on your roster and you're not seeing the results offensively that you think you should be seeing, but the advanced numbers are saying how hard you're hitting the ball and how your expected batting average should be, your on-base percentage should be. I think there's a point where it has to kind of go your way. So this is one of those games where I think I don't see the Braves losing 5 straight, especially with Strider on the mound. Cabrera has actually been surprisingly good this year. And by good, I mean like 4-ish ERAs. He's allowed 2 runs in each of his starts, but he hasn't blown up yet. So I think it's a perfect storm of him not having that really bad start yet, and he's getting this offense that's hitting the ball well, just has to find their luck. And asking for 8 strikeouts for Strider seems so weird to ask any pitcher for 8 strikeouts and paying -290 for it. But I think you can get 10 here. I mean, have you seen this lineup for the Marlins?
No, Luis Arez.
Yes,
immediately that's amazing.
That's 1 strikeout target already out in terms of. I mean, he's not. Has he struck out once this year? I'm
once or twice. It's been.
I think it's like literally twice.
I'll
Do we
let you know
have
on
that?
that in a moment.
I know Nick Larson would know right off the bat because he plays
Sure
it every
would.
single game.
Yep. He has one. I'm sorry. He has 4 strikeouts and 72 at bats.
That's so wild.
That's
That's
freaking
so
insane.
wild. Yeah. So, I mean, you have a leadoff batter that he should strike out every time he sees him with Jazz. I mean,
Yeah.
he should get one or two there. Overall, all the hitters, they're about 23% strikeout rate. I mean, Soler is a big K risk. De La Cruz is big. So they get skewed numbers because guys like Singura, and then we have like there's two guys with like 6% or 15%, and everybody else is a really big strikeout rate person. So he should see, I think, what, 7 righties, I believe. And last year he had a 44% strikeout. Yeah, 8 righties. So Strider had a 44% strikeout rate last year against righties. This year it's dropped all the way down to 37%, which is still very high, absurdly high. And he's averaging 14 strikeouts per 9 inning. He should go 6. You need 2 innings there where he gets 2 guys, and that's so doable for him that I
Oh,
think this is just one of those games where no matter how it happens, I think the Braves get back in the win column. And under Strider, I think he should just mow these guys down.
yeah. Yeah. I look, this is another one. You're hitting on all the spots. I couldn't find anything. And man, Strider, he really might. He might set the season high on K's tonight of any pitcher. This lineup is just so gorgeous to stare at. He's got
Yeah.
a 40.9% K rate. And actually the combined K rate of this lineup is 26.8%, which is um, one of the probably top 15 worst lineups I've seen all season. So you mentioned Segura and Birdie are in the teens, but every single other person is like super dark red, huge target, especially the first 4 guys. So
Yeah.
just
So
just beautiful.
this is one where I probably would have played the 9 and a win. I'm totally comfortable with 9 and a win at plus money, but I just felt like asking for 8 and still getting the minus 130. I just don't see, like, it's just one of those ones where you have to pay the juice a little bit. But when you talk about these high strikeout lines, they get so fine because the difference between 8, 9, or 10, it's just so crazy because anything can happen in those kind of situations. So
Yep.
I'm totally okay playing the juice and just expecting Strider to miss 8 bats, which is not asking a lot, but just to kind of take control of the game. I think he was so good at home last year. His first 2 home starts, he allowed 2 runs or 3 runs in each. I think third home start, he should just settle in a little bit and just like shove in this game.
Yeah, this has the makings of a masterclass for sure. So should be very exciting. If you haven't seen Strider very often, tonight would be a damn good time to do it if you have the chance to.
Yeah, honestly, like I said, if this would be a ladder spot in terms of PPD with me if it wasn't a guy like Strider that his base is just so high. Like you're paying minus 130, I mean minus 300 for 8+ in a same game parlay situation. So if
Crazy, dude.
if I got a little bit better, honestly, if I got pricing that was say minus 120 and then up the rail, I might have gone to 10, but I just played it safe here. I just think I'll pay the minus 130 to watch him just shove for 6 innings.
Yep. Well, good deal. We'll transfer from one 40% K rate pitcher to an additional 40% K rate pitcher. Maybe a little asterisk beside that because we're only 2 starts into this young man's career, but I have to do this one. I cannot resist. I got to go Taj Bradley, 6+ strikeouts. Again, an hour ago, it was plus 120 on FanDuel. I haven't checked since, but I'll go ahead and do that in the midst of talking about this. Fading the Astros can be a little frightening sometimes, but first off, there's no Yordan Alvarez, so that's really nice. It's actually plus 112, so still very playable there. Odds have come down a little bit. We got a lineup, a pretty damn good lineup here. And like I said, no Yordan. So Jose Abreu, Jeremy Pena, who's batting second tonight, which I like a lot. Jolks, Myers, Maldonado all have 25.6% K rates or worse versus righties. And then Yan Deer or something like that. Diaz has a 20%. So, not a massive target, but he's a 6th guy in there with some decent K potential. This dude Taj is, I mean, my gosh, what a start to his career. So he's pitched 10 and 1/3 innings. He has 17 strikeouts. By the way, DeJounte Murray just got suspended 1 game for making inappropriate contact. Wow.
And so, before you continue, someone in the chat did ask, "What are your thoughts on Jazz first play appearance? K at plus 100." I would say this: love the play, hate the price though. I don't know. You're
Yeah,
getting even
true.
odds for like a one at bat. I have such a hard time playing those. I don't mind playing like betting a guy over point 0.5 strikeouts in a game as like a parlay piece, but taking like the exact at bat, I just always have trouble doing that. That's because like one weak toppler on the first pitch just kind of feels like really depressing. But
Yeah.
I do think Jazz probably gets punched out twice today.
Yeah, not a bad look. Odds are
That
leave a
slider
little bit
for
to be
Strider
desired.
against his lefty his strikeout rate against lefties this year is over 43% now. That slider coming in on you is really tough. He's got awesome. I hate I hate that he's a Brave. He's so fun to watch.
Yeah, he's fucking ridiculous. All right, so yes, he has 17 strikeouts and 10.1 innings of work so far. So that's just absurd. That's an absurd way to begin your career. And he's Tampa's top prospect. So while I don't think his 42% K rate will hold forever, this is a guy that's been striking people out at huge rates his whole career. And if you're Tampa's top prospect, you're a damn good prospect because I don't think there's any better system from top to bottom than theirs. So I like this kid a whole lot. This matchup didn't scare me enough away. The Astros strike out 8.41 times a game this season, but when they're on the road, that jumps to 9.33, so they become a bit more strikeout prone for sure. He's got four really, really good pitches. His changeup and his curve kind of lead the way. His changeup has a 44.4% whiff rate. His curveball has a 50% whiff rate. Doesn't throw it a ton, but then he also has a 96-mile-an-hour fastball that for a fastball has a really good whiff rate at 28.9%. So it doesn't really matter what he throws. He can induce swings and misses on pretty much any of them. So at the end of the day, it's a guy's third start. Might be a little additional risk rather than, a guy that's been here doing this for a while. But at the same time, his K rate pretty much reflects Ohtani's and Strider's. Again, this is 10 innings. So don't get too excited. But still, we can get at least a little excited. You don't get a 40% K rate guy at a 5.5 line very often. So despite the matchup, I'm still going to go ahead and jump on this bad boy. I actually got it at plus 145, which is kind of ridiculous, but plus 112 is still playable. I think as long as it's plus odds, I'm pretty happy. I took this really early in the morning knowing that it would eventually close at 5.5. And then that was before Jordan was out, which I think is actually more of a toss-up. It makes their lineup a little less scary, but also he was a pretty good K target as well. So I'd have been okay kind of with him in or out, but with him out, it just makes me feel a little bit better about, facing Houston and being successful and really just not getting knocked out of the game very quickly. That I guess would be my main concern.
Yeah.
But so far, Taj hasn't really shown any reason to be frightened by that kind of thing. And this offense definitely takes a big hit without Jordan in it. So Taj Bradley over, I'll just say 6+ strikeouts. I believe it's plus 112 on FanDuel right now.
Yeah, I think that's one of those things where you get good prices against the Astros, but they are very middle of the pack, as you mentioned, in strikeouts. They're not. I feel like they're not the same K adverse team that they used to be a year or two ago, where it was almost like you really did not want to take anything against them, but they are definitely a little bit more vulnerable there.
Yeah, I mean, as long as Jose's out and they're throwing out guys like Jolks and Pena every day. Well, Pena's good. He's going to be pretty much an everyday starter no matter what, but that man can strike the fuck out. So, I think he can get him at least once, if not twice. So, let's go Taj.
Yeah. If you look in the chat, we have a home run play, and you were the guy to assess home runs. I am strictly strikeouts. So hold on, let me see.
I
Dude, my phone's spazzing out. Hold on.
I bet 6 homers last week and 4 hit. I was pretty pleased by that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You're the home run king.
I don't know about all that.
You and Eli are doing a lot really well.
Dude, Eli's good.
Yeah.
Go check out Eli, Degen Eli on Twitter. He, I guess, has deemed himself a home run guy. This dude is hitting at a pretty insane rate. But
yeah.
this Toronto Chicago game, obviously, if we're betting home runs, this will definitely be the one I'm drawn to. And Eloy's pretty interesting. I don't know about his history versus Bassett, but let's see what Bassett throws to righties. He's mostly going to be fastball sinker to righties, which Eloy has a pretty nice ISO against. So, man, Bassett throws a lot of pitches. He throws 6 different pitches, I think. That's pretty good. But none of them are very good. Yeah. Eloy, at least off the top of my head, I didn't quite dig into this as much as I would want to, but Eloy is definitely a guy that jumps off the page. Vlad is, pretty obvious option, I suppose, but I think he's probably around plus 300. The way he's been heating up lately and in this matchup versus Lance Lynn. I definitely like that. I had a play earlier. It got juiced out, so I couldn't give it, but I am on Vlad hits plus RBIs plus runs. It was minus 120 earlier. Sadly, it's not playable, but I guess if anything, it just kind of gives you a little background as to, I definitely like this spot for Vlad. And with Bo batting first in front of him, that's pretty interesting. So Vlad gets.
I think that's the I think that's the toughest thing you just mentioned about Vlad being the quote unquote obvious play. I think that's the hardest thing about home runs is that I think people get too caught up in the fact that like they see the big names and they'll pay say bad prices for people that are like, oh yeah, he's Aaron Judge, of course he's going yard, and you have to realize that going yard in 160 games is just not likely. So I feel like people sometimes get really caught up in the names and not the prices. So
yeah,
I think that's one of the things that Eli does really well is assessing his unit sizes and how to kind of attack the mispriced lines as you kind of see. Because sometimes you see these prices be plus 340 on one book and plus 600 another. It's such a high variance prop in terms of how you can find different prices. So I leave that all to you guys. I am not the home run guy at all.
Yeah, I'll actually normally be a little bit more prepared for homework questions on Mondays. Today, unfortunately, was a bit of a background disaster, but we made it through. I would definitely like Vlad. Somebody mentioned Trout. You're not going to get a great price on Trout, but Dan versus Waldichuk, that is super. That is about as tempting as could be. And then Dr. J said Devers, Trout, Vlad. I mean, it doesn't get too much chalkier than that, but at the same time, I mean, just beautiful, beautiful spots for all those guys. So definitely don't mind that at all.
Yeah. And then the last thing I wanted to bring up to you is I have not played this. I want to wait for lineups, but what are your thoughts on I've been trying to find these games where I don't like the offense and trying to do like alt same game parlays where if I lean like an under for a game and I think that both pitchers will miss bats, I'll kind of take their alt at a K lower. And I think at plus 110 on DraftKings right now, it's Montgomery and Cobb. 5 for Montgomery, 4 for Cobb. I think that's one where I'm kind of sad they put Montgomery at 5.5 because despite the fact he's just not a strikeout guy, he should probably go 6 innings tonight. And the Giants against left-handed pitching is just atrocious.
So bad.
It's like so their strikeout numbers are what like 35% at this point. Like it's horrible, but it's not even like they're striking out against lefties and making contact. They cannot put the ball in play against lefties. Like sometimes like the Braves, you'll see it, or like the Phillies are a team where their strikeout rate might be up here, but like their on base percentage and their slugging percentage is also up there. The Giants just are not hitting lefties at like an alarming rate. So a guy like Montgomery, 20% strikeout guy. So you might see a 5.5 line and think, oh, I'm taking under, but I actually in the over at 5.5. If he goes, that's 1 per inning at 6 innings, but there's just a minefield of Ks in this Giants. It's bad. Like he could probably accidentally strike out 3 of them without even trying. Like that's how. Like if I could throw a lefty, I would try it because I might be able to run into one.
Dude, I mean, these are some dark ass red numbers. We're looking at Forto, JD Davis, Darren Ruff, Phillies legend, Darren Ruff, David Villar, and then Brandon Crawford are. I'm looking specifically at Plate IQ, which is rotogrinders.com. I couldn't suggest this more. This is such a great site. But anyway, they color code pretty much everything. But these guys with these super high strikeout rates are incredibly red, and there's plenty of red in this Giants. This is a projected lineup. This isn't their set lineup, but
which is kind of why I'm waiting for lineups because I like the Cobb Montgomery like same game parlay look, but depending on what the Cardinals lineup look like, I might just find a way to play just Montgomery, whether it's 5.5 at better odds or as outs, or find some way to kind of make it work. But I do think there's some way I'm gonna try to play him.
I slept a little bit on his 17.5 out prop, which is now juiced to minus 130, which in my opinion is still very playable. There's a damn good chance I add that. I honestly might as well just stop fucking around. I'm gonna go ahead and just just gonna go ahead and add that. So
I'll take it with you.
The only reason I don't actually, I was going to say the only reason I didn't add this, I don't have an answer to that. There's no reason I haven't added this yet.
There is some people that I think in the baseball world you live with it. Like if you take a Patrick Corbin over every single time, he occasionally throws a gem, you just accept it. I think Giants versus lefties is becoming kind of like that Pirates versus lefties from like last year, where if you have a lefty against this team, you almost have to at least give it a look. Even if you don't play it, I think you have to have it circled on your card every single day to at least find a way to like look at some angles because they've just been that bad.
Yeah, 100%. And they're posing like no threat at all. Like, I mean, even beyond the strikeouts, they're just not hitting them at all. So I've been peeking at this out prop pretty much all day. I don't know why I haven't locked it in yet, but I just went ahead and on air did. It's for 365 users, all three of you listening that have this book, it's minus 115 on 365 for over, which obviously I'd recommend, but I would play the minus 130 on DraftKings.
Yeah. And
have bet 365.
So is that all your MLB bets? Is that all three? I can't.
I got one more.
Yeah, one more. I was about to say I think you have one more. So I was gonna say you do one more, and then I want to end it with a fun parlay I haven't played, but I kind of want to.
Nice. All right, sounds good. So like I said, I got one more. So this will be in the same game as Taj Bradley. I'm actually gonna fade Jose Urquidy. I'm terrible with pronunciation. Who knows? I have no clue if I just got that right. Jose Urquidy under 17.5 outs. It's minus 110 on DraftKings. This guy's not a bad pitcher by any means. He's quite average in many ways. He's got a 3.66 ERA. He's got a 1.53 WHIP. 56th percentile in hard hit percentage, 52nd percentile in expected batting average, 46th percentile in barrel percentage, 54th percentile in walk percentage, 34th percentile in K rate. So guys will put the ball in play against him a lot. So like not a lot jumps off, but he's a very serviceable pitcher. He's not bad. However, this is just a horrible matchup for anybody. Any right-hander facing the Rays is already in trouble. Any right-hander facing the Rays at home is in even more trouble. So far this season, he's under this mark in 3 out of 4. That trend is kind of interesting because he really struggled to hit this early last season as well. But overall, from his couple starts this season and dating back to last season, he's under in 50%. So it's pretty much a toss-up. So, you got to kind of find an edge somewhere to make you like one side. But again, Tampa is the reason that I like this. They've just been on real versus right-handed pitching. Versus righties, they're third in hits, first in home runs, and second in RBIs. And this is despite being 13th in at bats versus right-handed pitchers. They have the third best average first in on-base percentage, first in slugging. So they're just murdering right-handed pitching every time they get a chance to. They're the league's best offense. They average 6.77 runs per game overall. And then when they're at home, it's even better. They average 7.23. Probably my favorite stat of all is I believe this is game 23. So they faced 22 starting pitchers so far, and only 4 have gone over, and only one of them was right-handed. 3 of the 4 that went over were lefties. So only one right-handed pitcher has gone over this total, which actually was yesterday, which was Lucas Giolito. But
which is surprising to me.
He would have been the last person I would have anticipated.
He started off rough. Off rough in that game, and he still got there.
Yeah, for sure. And last 2 little things is Framber Valdez on Saturday went 7 innings. Yesterday, Christian Javier went 6 innings. So this bullpen should be pretty much ready, rested and ready to go. So I like this spot for Tampa to get to Jose pretty early and knock him out of here. So Jose Urquidy under 17.5 outs, minus 110 on DraftKings.
Love it. I think that's a good look. I think outs props are something I rarely play, but I will say sometimes those 17.5, you get bailed out because sometimes they come in and you think you're screwed in the 6th inning and they allow a walk or a single. Or how many times do you think people have like over 17.5 and they get that 5.2 pitch? They just sometimes that last out in your last inning doesn't always come. So I think you can get bailed out a lot in unders. Which kind of brings me to what I wanted to say is I might play this for fun. I meant to have a graphic for it, but I forgot. But do you know what's hilarious? You can play on Caesars because Caesars lets you parlay. Like they give you good single parlay odds. Yeah. You could take Spencer Strider over the 8.5 strikeouts, and you could parlay that with the win, like I already have. But you could also take his under 18 and a half outs because he usually just goes 6 innings.
Yeah, it's pretty much a
And
lot.
the odds are like plus 450.
That's
Like,
pretty crazy.
I think it's just kind of a funny bet. Like, I was like playing around with the builder earlier, and I think that's just like so funny that because you're basically betting a guy to get 9 strikeouts in 6 innings, which is, like I said, it's an absurd thought unless it's Spencer Strider. That's
Yeah,
really what it is.
yeah,
Like,
unless it's this dude.
there's only like 2 guys you can maybe think that for. Actually, probably he's the only one because he's pretty standard at that 6 innings, but he just misses so many bats. So I think that's a fun thing to look into.
Yep, good deal. Yeah,
And someone
that
asked before we move into basketball play.
sure.
Someone asked on chat, "What's your thought on Brad Keller?" I get so weird with Brad Keller. I never know what to expect with him.
I
I've actually laddered him once this year,
Me too. I
like
did the same. I said the same thing.
against the was it the Giants? No, it was Giants. It was the Giants game. I think he threw like 9 strikeouts. I think I took him up to 5 or like 6 for like decent odds, but yeah, he sometimes struggles to get out. Like he sometimes just allows a lot of contact at times. Like he's just a weird guy. I don't know if I actually try to give him a look because I think he's a sneaky 3.5 guy a lot. He always gets those 3.5 looks. But yeah, I don't know how much I trust him against the Diamondbacks team that is usually pretty K adverse.
Yeah. Yeah, I have. This is one guy you kind of hinted at it. I have no clue. This dude is super tough. It's just a matter of like, will he have it tonight, or will he not even come close to having it tonight? And it's just obviously it's very hard to predict those kind of players.
Yeah. There's
One
some pitchers
trend.
in this league that you just don't know. I don't, and he's one
Yeah,
of them. I just never seen. That sounds like a cop out answer for the chat. I'm sorry, but I just never know how I feel about him because sometimes he can come out and shove 9 strikeouts, and sometimes he can allow 9 runs in an inning and a half, and then he goes to the bench and he just kind of sits there and sulks. I never know.
yeah, yeah. It's tough. I guess the one thing we can hang our hat on is in the first game he had 6, in the second game he had 3, in the third game he had 7, in the fourth game he had 2. So he's gone over under, which leaves to us with an over tonight. So
I will say,
it's
I only
literally that's literally the best I got for you on Keller, dude. I have no fucking clue with this guy.
yeah, I will say the 3.5 strikeout guys are always the weirdest. Like, I knock on wood, don't want it to happen. But if you were to tell me that Gomber comes out and throws like 5 scoreless innings with like 6 Ks, I would be so mad. But I probably would just be like, yeah, of course he does. You know, like it just sometimes in baseball you just can't get too upset because sometimes the Cy Young allows 12 runs and sometimes the worst pitch in the league throws who was it a few years ago? Alec Mills in the Cubs. He had like a no hitter for like 8 innings.
Shout
I
out to
think.
Alec Mills.
I think he had a no hitter going into the ninth and he blew it. But sometimes that happens.
We don't
Like
even need to go back that far. We just watched Drew Smiley perfect into the 8th
that
against
is
the fucking
true. Drew
Dodgers.
Smiley and everyone faded him. Everyone faded that game. Everyone was so sold on that game being way
Yep.
different. And
I had Dodgers over 4.5 team total. And they had a pitcher go perfect through 8 on, or I guess through
yeah,
7.
yeah.
Man, pain on that. Well, honestly, it wasn't even that painful because I watched 2 innings. I think I even fell asleep that game. So that was a good one. Sometimes you're just gonna have sweat-free losses, and you gotta move on. You can
And
sit
I
there and
think
watch and just torture yourself, or you can just get the fuck out of there. That was
his
a pretty clear get the fuck out of there. Sorry,
I've
brother.
never seen a catcher interfere with that too. That was a weird play. Someone bet is over.
Vegas
Hits
made a call.
allowed. Yeah, someone bet on the Dodgers and was trying to get Smiley out of his rhythm. But yeah, if we wanted to, someone asked in the chat if we can just go over official MLB plays before I
Oh,
give my
absolutely.
one NBA play. So the only things I have officially put in, the other one I'm waiting on lineups, is I took Gomber under 3.5 strikeouts paired with the Guardians money line at plus 140. That was on FanDuel. The thing that sucks is the only 2 books I think you can really do that play with is FanDuel, Caesars, and I believe Combi Books, Candy Books lets you do that, but DraftKings is too scared, and so is MGM. They don't let you, do those parlays with the under Ks and the as a part of it.
Yeah.
And then the other, oh sorry, I was gonna say the other play I also played was I took Spencer Strider 8 strikeouts and a win for the Braves.
Sounds good. I took Taj Bradley 6+ strikeouts. I believe it's plus 112 on FanDuel as of now. I took Chris Sale over 6.5 strikeouts. I believe that was plus 104 on FanDuel. Then I took Jose Urquidy under 17.5 outs at minus 110 on DraftKings Sportsbook.
Yeah. and now we can talk a little bit about NBA. I'll be honest, I will be the first to say the only series I've not been on so far this season, this playoff season, is the Grizzlies and the Lakers.
Oh, interesting.
I'm not taking a bet in that game. I'm just saying that's like the one series I haven't really touched, and it's because I think they're two teams that are just interesting sometimes to get a read on. I mean, they both, John Morant injury, not injured. I just don't love the bet on either of his team. So I am not gonna be touching that series, and I'll be touching maybe later on, if depending on who advances. But yeah, I have trouble betting on the Lakers. So my play is in the Bucks Heat game. And
Cool.
this is gonna sound super strange. So I actually have been experimenting in like alt same game parlays. So in the graphic that Tone will show, I actually took half a unit on both plays because it almost covers myself. I don't know if you ever do this or anyone in the chat does this. If you ever take like the alt same game parlay for a player and he hits his other line, but like he doesn't hit the parlay, it kind of pisses me off beyond belief. So I'm doing half and half because if I were to take just the one, I'd be so mad if he hits the other one. So I took Drew Holiday for half a unit over 22 and a half points slash rebounds. And then I took an alt same game parlay on FanDuel with him 15 points parlay with 4 rebounds. So I like his PR a lot,
Nice.
but he has hit 15 points and 4 rebounds in all but one of the 6 matchups against the Heat. And my thing is that I think I like the PR. I don't like the assist as much. I know our friend Prop Bet Guy took his assist rebound put PRA at 30 and a half. His assists don't really like they don't see as much as a change. So his rebounds with and without Giannis don't change, but his assists go way up without Giannis. And this is a game where if Giannis is the focal point of this offense in terms of how the Heat will guard this offense, I think Giannis being in is going to help Drew a lot. I think Giannis being in is going to create more space from the wing for Drew Holiday, who's been crushing it from the wing from three, and it also might give him a few more chances to drive. And I like the rebounds a lot because Drew Holiday has 5 rebounds in all but one game against the Heat this year in 6 matchups. And if Giannis is a little hindered, which I don't think he will be, but I think if Giannis is a little bit less aggressive, as sometimes you can see with rebounding for guys like Giannis, Joel Embiid, Bam Adebayo, some of these guys that like to box out but don't necessarily always clean up their own mess. Drew
Yeah.
Holiday is very aggressive on the boards, and I think he's been like pivotal. So in games this year, he's played 56 games with Giannis this year, and he's averaging 26.4 PR in those 50 some games there. And that's only in 52, only 32 and a half minutes. He's averaging 18.6 points and 5.1 rebounds. He should be playing another 35 plus minutes today. So he already clears there on his averages, but I think he plays more minutes. And in games this season that Drew Holiday has played 30 more minutes, 26.4 PR on average. He's over 22 and a half PR in 65% of those games or 30 or more minutes. He has 4 rebounds or more in all but 9 of those games, so 83%, and then 15 or more points in 80% of those games where he sees 30 minutes. So he should see 35 minutes. And I just think he matches up so well with this Heat team. So that was kind of a lot. I threw up a lot of information there, but I kind of wanted just to run through it.
So
Where
what we're here to do.
I think this is I played Drew Holiday once this series. I don't always love backing a guy a second time in the series, but I think he just matched it up so well. Especially, I mean, Tyler Hero is not great defensively, but since he got injured, the Heat have to be experimenting a lot with their guard play. And I think Drew Holiday is just so smart and underrated as a what do you call it? As a basketball player that he can read this defense where as the Heat still try to find their guard duo for the rest of the playoffs, or they try to find their new rotation without Hero. He's just been finding so many seams in the defense and looking really good doing it.
Yeah, good deal. I like this. What's your favorite under for NBA games tonight, Brian?
Oh, that's tough.
That is tough. I actually I don't have anything unfortunately to add for NBA. One thing I have my eye on, I actually kind of liked Drew assists, but they're a little too juiced for me to mess around with.
Yeah.
One thing I thought was really interesting is Brook Lopez threes.
Yeah.
He's yet to hit one all series, which is quite frightening. However, Giannis has only played 11 minutes the whole series. So when Giannis is out, Brook goes and posts up beneath the basket when Giannis is in. Brooks stands at the 3-point line. So
Yeah.
I've thought about sprinkling 2 and 3 threes a little bit. I don't know. I haven't committed to that. I'm probably pretty damn close. I think I would be okay risking a unit on a little ladder there if I'm playing for 2 and 3 threes, because you're gonna get bogus odds. In fact, I'm gonna look them up real quick.
Yeah, someone asked my favorite under. Surprisingly, I hate this, but I did give a look for Ja Morant's under. Only because, but I didn't take it because it's at 28.5. I thought Ja after 45 points might have got like a 30 line. But to ask him to score that many points on a broken hand back-to-back games is a little much. But same with Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler with on the injury report, his over-under is 28.5. But I'm still waiting for the Jimmy Butler to take over. You know, everyone talks about Jimmy Butler being like this big playoff guy, but he's not taking over as much as I thought he would. But the only thing that would keep me hesitant from taking his under is that. But I think 28.5 is pretty high for Jimmy Butler as well, because Giannis is back to help defend the paint. And I mean, I know there's points to go around without Hero, but I just thought that was a little bit inflated of a line for a guy that was questionable all day.
Yeah, shit. This man shot 4 for 4 from 3 last game, which is
Yeah,
completely absurd. I don't even know what to think about
so
that.
that's my thing, is that it took. I mean, I know we scored 35 in game one, but like I said, Giannis has been out the whole series. It took him 4 threes to go over 28.5 points last game without Giannis. With Giannis in, I wonder how it's gonna affect Jimmy Butler.
Yeah, I'm actually sorry, a little off topic. I don't know if I've ever added a play on the show. And now that I've done it once, I'm kind of addicted. I'm going to go ahead and do it again. This is rather unfortunate for non 365 users, but hang in there because you'll get a line eventually, I'd imagine. I am going to take Brooke Lopez 2+ threes and 3+ threes. These odds are just irresistible for me. So for 2 threes is plus 270, and then 3 threes is 1025 on Bet 365. As of now, FanDuel only has 2+, but it's plus 280, so it's an even better line than 365 has. I'm going to go 0.7 on 2 and 0.3 on 3 threes. These odds are just irresistible. I mean, maybe the trend continues and he's just really not shooting this series, but I mean, his role completely changes with Giannis in. So at these odds, man, I'll take my chance. I'll risk a unit on this happily. So a rare 2, I get a second in play ad for me. So I'm gonna.
Oh, this is crazy. I've never seen you be this impulsive.
Yeah, we're going off.
Yeah,
Impulsive is a great word for it.
This is crazy. But that's all I had for the NBA slate. I'm actually kind of enjoying the less NBA games as like the competition like weans a little bit out, where it's lesser days per night, because I kind of do like having one or two. I like having 1 or 2 NBA plays and focusing a little bit more on baseball.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
That's crazy. He hasn't even made a single one yet. This whole series.
no.
That changes tonight, folks. He's gonna hit one within the first 4 minutes of the game.
Yeah, it's gonna be an offensive rebound from Drew Holiday where he kicks it out. So that way I get a board off from that. So
Works for me.
that works for me. And then if you want, we can do the pick a popular plays and get the hell out of here.
Yes, sir. I'm pulling up right now. I believe number 1 is we've talked about 1 through 3 quite in depth so far already on the show. In fact, we just talked about all 3 in the past 10 minutes. Number 1.
Yeah, so we can do this quickly.
Yeah, number 1, Jimmy Butler. People are taking his
threes, a
points.
lot of threes.
Yeah, a lot of people take his threes. His rebounds actually is the second most popular. The threes is the third most popular. So I get it. Man, he shot 4 threes in back-to-back games. So if you're getting plus 370 or whatever you're getting for 2 threes, definitely tempting.
Worth the chance.
What's that?
It's worth the try. Like I think his threes I like better than his points.
Yeah,
because if Giannis is in the paint, I wonder if he's gonna have to be pushed out a little bit further from the rim, which is not his comfort zone. But
yeah,
it's not like, I mean, I feel like people forget that every single NBA player, whether you make 6 threes in a game or half a 3 in a game, if you get the ball out in the wing and you're wide open, you're taking that shot every single time. Like, I mean, Jimmy Butler's not known for his 3-point shooting, but he will take them if he needs to.
Yeah, I don't really love his points tonight. I just don't see
I think
much of an edge.
I think 28.5 is just high.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's taken 60% from the field and 66.7% from 3 to pull off 30 points a game, which is great. these stats are incredible. He shot over 50% or 55% or better in every game in the series, which is kind of crazy. You kind of wonder if it's
Sustainable, especially with Giannis
sustainable. Thank
coming
you.
back.
Yeah, with
Yeah.
Giannis back.
If
Sorry.
I was feeling like if I didn't like Drew as much in that game, I probably would have looked to fade Butler. But I don't like having two plays in the same playoff game, and I think the lines kind of adjusted a little bit. Where I think I'm seeing some 27 and a halves. It might be something I sprinkle, but yeah, I don't think I love Butler as much as the odds or the lines indicate, and that means that I think people don't realize when I take unders. It doesn't mean I don't think Butler's a good player or this and that. Doesn't mean he can't score 40, but I think sometimes you can get value in the playoffs for some of the inflated lines. I just probably wouldn't take it at 27 and a half. I think the market adjusted appropriately.
Yeah. Number 2 is Ja Morant. Points is his number 1. Assists is his number 2, which is very tempting after what was it, 45 and 13 assists or something like that last game. Just fucking insane.
Sure, yeah, 22 straight and 22 straight points, which is wild.
That's pretty
And
good last I checked.
pretty good, yeah. And you know what? It's there's some people that were talking about Ja Morant too, where his PRA I think I got to like 43 and a half at one point. And the Lakers don't play a lot of defense, but you wonder how healthy that hand is. You wonder if he is just using that like a little bit as like I don't even know if he's trying to play it up a little bit, but if his hand is that broken, I am really like it's a little concerning to think that can he do that again? He put 45 up in a game where the Lakers crushed them. Like that score does not look indicative of how it started. The Grizzlies made one field goal in the first quarter. That's like absurd. They scored 9 points in the first quarter.
Yeah.
So they were never like really felt in that game. I wonder if it stays more competitive throughout where it's I don't want to say he scored, 40 points in garbage time. That's not what happened. But I wonder if it stays competitive throughout the game and the Lakers are a little bit more in tune with their defense. I wonder if he's able to replicate that. This is probably a spot I won't bet on it, and I'll just kind of see how it goes to kind of
Yeah.
self pat myself in the back, whether or not I think I got it right. But I
Yeah.
just don't think at 20 and a half. I was hoping for 20. I was hoping for 30 and a half, honestly. I thought there was a chance that after 45 points, he might get that kind of start line, but he didn't.
Yeah. And I guess if you're interested in his assists, which 13 was awesome to obtain, he only had 16 potential assists. So I think generally a good mark is about 50% of your potential assists turn into assists, give or take. Or, obviously every game's different. 13 out of 16's fucking insane, I guess. I can't think of a better way to say it. So it's not like he was dishing out 27 potential assists. So I don't know. It feels like the most buy high spot that could possibly exist right here.
Yeah.
And like you said, I mean, he did all of this in, how do I want to say it? I mean, I guess you could say like desperation mode. I mean, this game was just it's over after the first in a sense, and they made it look a little closer than it was. But like,
it was not close.
Was this really ever a game? Not really. No. So
it's hard to recover from a one field goal quarter. I've never seen a team do it because I don't think a team's ever done it. So they came out super flat. So I wonder, like you said, if all things come equal in terms of they start the game in an actual competitive game, it remains competitive throughout. I don't know if you see hero Ja mode again to score 20 straight points. It just feels a little out there. Yeah. The third player is Jrue Holiday. I feel like we already covered most of what we can say. I love Jrue Holiday tonight. I think there's not a bad way to play him in terms of PR, PRA, or points straight up. But I think we already covered a lot of that. So I think we can wrap up. I mean, we're at 6:00. We went through our plays with very little nonsense, which is really crazy for the show. Man. So we already went through our MLB plays. So I'm just gonna say I took Jrue Holiday 15 points paired with four rebounds minus 114 on FanDuel, and I took his over 22 and a half PRA for half a unit minus 110 on DraftKings. PR, what is that PRA? Sorry, if that was the line, I probably would have put 80 units on it. But yeah, the PR, and I think it's a little annoying that they're on two different books, but I think the extra 10 seconds to go between DraftKings and FanDuel is worth it.
Fair enough. I actually had an on-air ad. I'm going to risk 1 unit total. I'm going to put 0.7 units on Brook Lopez to hit 2 threes. I'm going to put 0.3 units for him to hit 3 threes. That won't apply to most of you as it stands right now, because FanDuel only has 2+, but at some point they will add 3+, especially if they start getting some money flow in on 2+. So I'd imagine they'll pop up a 3+ line here at some point before this game tips off. So, but yeah, that wraps us up. I had 4 baseball and 1 NBA, and let's go make some money. This is a nice Monday slate. So let's start off the week right. We appreciate you guys watching. We appreciate Boom and Pickett for the sponsors, and we will see you next Monday.